Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time to review Blue Heron.
This is directed by Sophie Rumbari, and it's the story of a family with a very troubled eldest son, and it's shown through the perspective of his little sister. Sophie Rumbari is well known for her short films. She's directed over a dozen, and some of them are even featured by Criterion. And I think she brings a wholly original perspective and style to feature filmmaking. It really feels like she kind of forgoes the rules of narrative storytelling here. And the interesting thing about the film is not necessarily the story, which really lies more in the family's effort to help their son, but in the perspective of the storytelling. And I think what Rumbari is trying to do is put the audience in a state where they know they're watching a memory. They know it's kind of unreliable. They know it's fragmented. It's told in pieces. The camera angles are often very tight, as though it's being observed from afar. And it's as though someone's trying to reach into their past and dig out some sort of feeling or sift through some memories to try to understand something.
She's really telling the story through the details of her childhood. It kind of feels like a collage of what it was like to be a kid and grow up at this time. And later in the film, we find ourselves in the perspective of the adult character, trying to understand her childhood from a lens that she couldn't see at the time.
Yeah, I almost read the film as the first half is feeling, where we don't really know why we're watching this story play out. It almost seems like every scene is normal and mundane, but we slowly learn that there's this underlying anxiety within this family that the young girl is slowly discovering. And I really felt that anxiety reflected in the filmmaking. The way that it feels like information is being concealed from us, where we're getting just a small part of the picture, as though we are a child trying to piece together something that is beyond our understanding. And it's very much just putting us in the feeling of being that child. And then the second half is like puzzling it out, like really trying to search for the truth with all of our cognitive faculties and see what lies therein. And the second half was a really unexpected shift, and it even incorporates some pseudo-documentary style of filmmaking, you know, because this film really feels like it's concerned with the truth and with documenting and the fallibility of that. And her final analysis felt so truthful and grounded in the sense that she did not feed the audience one perspective on this family and on her brother. It feels like a film that is in perpetual soul searching. It felt very true to life, but some things are just beyond our ability to change the situation and to have a full understanding, because people's psychologies are complicated. Really, we're wrestling with what was going on in the brother's head. Like, why did he behave this way? Is there an explanation for it? And I like that the film does not provide easy answers to these questions. It feels true to life, and I found it to be really moving. It felt so personal to the filmmaker, like she needed to make this film. It felt like it was about her brother. I'm not even 100% sure if that's true. And it feels like something that nobody else could have made. It's a very specific examination of a very specific mental illness, and I've never seen a film about it. And so really I felt like I just got a window into the director's life and a portal into her thoughts and her memories, and I really loved this film.
Yeah, it really felt like the filmmaker was bearing her soul, both in recreating what it was like for her to be a child at this time and her restless search for meaning and truth that is ongoing today. I would say it reminded me of Aftersun in all the best ways. And even the visual language felt very similar. It really led me to wonder if this film was just very influenced by Aftersun, but in knowing how long the director has been making films about this very experience, it is just as possible that her and Charlotte Wells just happened to come upon a similar language for how to express this very similar like dissonance between your experience growing up and your experience reflecting back on it. I did feel that in the second half, it perhaps had a tendency to over-explore or over-explain, and yet that is revealing about the filmmaker herself.
For the second half, I got a little bit nervous because the first worked so well on a purely visceral level. Like, I felt like I got the story in my bones and I didn't necessarily need it intellectualized. But ultimately, I don't think it dulled the impact. What I found was that the director really wants to bring the audience into exactly what was happening and attempt to have them understand it just as she does. So I don't fault the approach overall, though I do feel like it had a little bit of that tendency to start explaining itself when maybe it didn't need to.
I think it just may have overcooked itself a tiny bit, but I also thought that there were some ways where it got really creative and self-reflexive in ways that I feel like I haven't seen before on film. So it was still moving throughout and just really strong filmmaking.
Yeah, this is the kind of film I care a lot about. Like, it's the sort of film I want to see more of, because something about the way the director's wrestling with something that cannot be fully understood feels very truthful and immersed me into an entire person. And this is one that will absolutely stay with me. I also really love the sound work here, which was very expressive throughout. It was often divorced from the images, which in themselves feel like they were so isolated, but the sound would kind of paint a broader picture of the house. Sometimes it reminded me of The Zone of Interest in more of the way the sound was recorded, like the dialogue in The Zone of Interest is picked up almost like you can hear it bouncing off of the wall, where it almost had the boominess of camcorder audio. And it was also very important that the sound was picking up on the rumblings in the house thematically. I'm really excited for what the director is going to do next. Contender for top 10 of the year for me.
Not sure if it'll come out this year, actually.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't come out this year, you're right.
I don't know who's
I don't think it has any distribution
It'd
yet.
be freaking amazing if A24 got it.
I would give us a 9 out of 10.
I'm gonna go with a strong 8 out of 10 on this one. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Did your brother have something off about him?